Hello everyone, this is Anshul, and in this video we will be covering internal ear, part 3 of anatomy of ear. We've already covered external ear, middle ear. Now this is internal ear. And I've already given the captions in the video also, and the audio quality is much better than before. So without wasting any time, let's dive into it and like and subscribe. Thank you.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about a chapter, third part of the chapter 1 of anatomy of ear, that is inner ear. Okay, let's start with inner ear. See, inner ear consists of two things. Okay, it consists of bony labyrinth and there is membranous labyrinth. As I told you earlier, also inner ear is also known as labyrinth. So we are going to focus on the bony labyrinth first. Okay, so this is the bony labyrinth. It is made up of cochlea, semicircular canals, and the vestibules. Vestibule is basically a connecting part of both of them. So separately we are going to talk about each one. Let's talk about the vestibule first. If you see, this is a vestibule that is connecting the cochlea with the semicircular canals. In this we are finding the oval windows, round windows, recess for saccule, recess for utricle. So in the oval window, what we will have? We will have the foot plate of stapes, as we already discussed. Recess for utricle and saccule. See, saccule will be spherical recess. It will be spherical. Okay, and utricle saccule will be elliptical. ये elliptical होगा, ठीक है? तो ये इतना में वेस्टिब्यूल के बारे में पता है. और भी क्या चीज़ें वेस्टिब्यूल के बारे में, अगर हम इसका पोस्टीरियर पार्ट देखें, मतलब ये वाला पार्ट देखें, पीछे वाला, so in this we are finding there are 5 vestibule openings, sorry, 5 openings in vestibule by this semicircular canals. It should be 6. It's not 6. Why? Because see, we know that there are 3 semicircular canals. See, this is one your lateral, this is your superior, this is your posterior. 3 semicircular canal each. It should be 3 into 2 is equal to 6. क्योंकि 2 endings होगी सबकी. 3 into 2 6, but it is 5. Why? Because this, if you see this diagram, this is lateral, this is superior, this is posterior. Superior and posterior are forming a common opening known as common crus. So that's why we have 2 plus 2 plus 1, it is equal to 5 openings. Okay, great. Let's see. So what is they are saying in the vestibule? They are saying the central chamber of bony labyrinth lies medial between the cochlea and the semicircular canal, contains lateral wall, contains oval window. Footplate of stapes is there in the oval window. Yes, medial wall contains what? Spherical recess and elliptical recess. Spherical recess contains saccule, elliptical recess contains utricle. It is clear. Okay, and posterior part contains 5 openings. Why 5 openings? Because lateral openings have 2 and superior and posterior have one common crus opening, that is 2 plus 2, 1 is equal to 5. So vestibule is clear. Vestibule is done. Now let's go to the next part, that is your semicircular canals. See, semicircular canals, basically what it is, as I told you, there are 3 semicircular canals. One is your, there is lateral opening, lateral semicircular canal. Another one is your superior and posterior semicircular canal. Okay, so this is it. They are at right angles to each other. Okay, should know about semicircular canal. 3 superior and posterior, lateral is horizontal, they arrange right angles to common crus. We already know what is common crus. When the superior and posterior join together to form a common duct, that is known as common crus. That's why we have 5 openings. Cochlea, let's talk about the cochlea. This is the cochlea. Cochlea, it is basically snail shaped like. Okay, so why it is snail shaped? Because it, ये क्या होता है कि जो मैक्युला एक होता है, इसे बोलते हैं हम मॉड्यूलस. ये मॉड्यूलस जो होता है एक सेंट्रल एक्सिस होता है, मतलब मान लो सेंट्रल पिलर है, उसके रैप अराउंड कॉक्लिया है. मतलब ये मान लो ये सेंट्रल पिलर है, उसके रैप अराउंड हमें कॉक्लिया देखने को मिल रही है. तो दैट इज योर मॉड्यूलस. ठीक है, मॉड्यूलस का काम ही यही है कि कॉक्लिया को रैप करना. दैट इज अ थिंग. बेसिकली रैप कॉक्लिया इज रैप्ड अराउंड दिस मॉड्यूलस. बेसिकली इट इज अ बोनी प्लेट. दैट्स व्हाई central coil, bony axis around which cochlea coils. And how many times the cochlea coils? It is approximately 2.5 to 2.75 turns around the modulus it does. Okay, this is the modulus. If you see, this is the modulus and bony plate, and cochlea is coiled around it. And this modulus is also important because this cochlear nerve and other spiral ganglion enters through it. Okay, fibers enter through this modulus. Another important thing you should know about this is This one is that there is one thing known as osseous spiral lamina. If you see, this is the osseous spiral lamina. This osseous spiral lamina, if you go into like microscopically, this osseous spiral lamina, it is partially separating the scala vestibuli by the scala tympani. So it is separating it. ये इनको बीच में से थोड़ा सा गैप कर रहा है और पूरा और उसके बाद क्या कर रहे हैं, बेसिलर मेम्ब्रेन मेनली स्केला वेस्टिबुली और स्केला टिम्पैनी को सेपरेट करता है, लेकिन पार्शियली ऑशियस स्पाइरल लैमिना भी इसमें हेल्प करता है. तो दैट इज द थिंग, ऑशियस स्पाइरल लैमिना डिवाइड्स द पार्शियली. तो 3 कंपार्टमेंट्स ऑफ कॉक्लिया होते हैं. हमने क्या देखा, 3 कंपार्टमेंट्स ऑफ कॉक्लिया. ये 3 कंपार्टमेंट, एक स्केला वेस्टिबुली, एक स्केला टिम्पैनी, एक स्केला मीडिया. 3 कंपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं. ये मॉड्यूलस, ओके, ये ऑशियस स्पाइरल लैमिना. तो इन सब के अंदर अब देखो, ये दोनों तो बोन से जुड़े हुए हैं. These are attached to the bones. This scala tympani, scala vestibuli attached to the bones. That's why we say it is a bony labyrinth. But scala media is in between. That is a membranous labyrinth. So what does it contain? It contains basically your endolymph structure. Okay, it contains basically your endolymph structure, and this, if we go, we will talk about it later in the membranous labyrinth. Okay, cochlea is done, clear. Now connection with the middle ear. This is known as helicotrema. Now what is helicotrema? See this diagram. This is scala vestibuli, this is scala tympani. You know that in scala vestibuli and scala tympani, what is there? Perilymph यहाँ पर flow करता है. तो perilymph यहाँ से भी आएगा, यहाँ से भी आएगा. तो इन दोनों जंक्शन को बोलते हैं हेलिकोट्रेमा. ठीक है, हेलिकोट्रेमा. अब इनके बीच में ये जो स्केला मीडिया, यहाँ पर एंडोलिम्फ होगा. ठीक है, और ये स्केला वेस्टिबुली स्केला टिम्पैनी का पेरिलिम्फ कहाँ चला जाता है? एक्वाडक्ट ऑफ कॉक्लिया से सीएसएफ में, सब एक्रोनॉइड स्पेस में चले जाता है. ओके, दिस इज क्लियर, डन, डस्टेड. हेलिकोट्रेमा क्लियर. नाउ स्केला वेस्टिबुली, ये अब कनेक्शन कैसे होता है मिडल ईयर से? देखो, तो स्केला वेस्टिबुली होता है, ये स्केला वेस्टिबुली होता है, ये कनेक्टेड होता है कहाँ से? ओवल विंडो. ओवल विंडो से क्या अटैच है? फुट प्लेट ऑफ स्टेपीज. अब स्टेपीज से क्या अटैच होगा? इंकस. इंकस से क्या अटैच होगा? मैलिलस. मैलिलस से क्या अटैच होगा? टिम्पैनिक मेम्ब्रेन. तो ऐसे मिडल ईयर से ये कनेक्ट होता है. देखो इस डायग्राम में भी दिखेगा, ये टिम्पैनिक मेम्ब्रेन, ये ऑसिकल्स, मेलियस, इनकस, स्टेपीज, और यहाँ से पेरिलिम्फ, मतलब स्केला वेस्टिबुली. तो this is clear. Okay, great. Now go to the next part, that is the scala tympani. Scala tympani, देखो अब इस डायग्राम में, it is connected by round window membrane. So basically secondary tympanic membrane. Okay. So bony labyrinth is done. It is clear. Now let's talk about the next thing is your membranous labyrinth. See, membranous labyrinth के 5 parts होते हैं. देखिए, एक cochlear duct होता है, एक utricle and saccule होता है, एक 3 semicircular duct होता है, एक endolymphatic duct and sac होता है. ये जो डायग्राम में दिख रहा है, cochlear duct, utricle and saccule, and semicircular ducts 3, और endolymphatic duct and sac. Clear. अब एक एक की बात करते हैं. cochlear duct. Cochlear duct, if it is also known as what? If you see this diagram, it is also known as this one, scala media, or it is also known as membranous cochlea. This is the thing. So cochlear duct, membranous cochlea, or scala media, this is the same thing. It contains what? It contains perilymph, right? Contains perilymph. So let's talk about it. Now more in detail this. So we have cochlear duct. We have taken the cochlear duct. We have उसे हमने क्रॉस सेक्शन में कट कर दिया. क्रॉस सेक्शन में कट करने के बाद वी आर सीइंग दिस फिगर. Okay, this one is the Reissner's membrane. This one is the basilar membrane on which this organ of Corti lies. Okay, clear? Great. And this is the stria vascularis from which the endolymph is generated. Okay, endolymph is generated from this stria vascularis, also from dark cells also, but here it is clear. Okay, done. Then let's talk about the basilar membrane. So this basilar membrane looks like this. This is the basilar membrane. It looks like this. The base is narrow and stiff, and the apex is flexible and wide. And this base will have frequency high, 1600 hertz around, high frequency. But the apex will have low frequency. This is about basilar membrane. Okay. Now let's talk about utricle and saccule. Utricle, this is the utricle, saccule. So utricle and saccule, what it is, basically utricle is connected with the saccule by utricosaccular duct. Okay. And it has 3 some openings. And important thing is it has a sensory epithelium called macula. This is important, macula. It is concerned with linear acceleration and deceleration. For example, if you are moving in a bus and suddenly it stops, then how it detects this macula detects that acceleration, linear acceleration, deceleration. Okay, utricle and saccule is the same function they do. So one more thing, Meniere's disease. What is Meniere's disease? What is Meniere's disease? Meniere's disease is a disease in which there is endolymph accumulation in the membranous lymph, excess endolymph accumulation. So what happens? It basically what does it do? The saccule get distended. So when the saccule get distended, then what will happen? The saccule is present here. See, the saccule is present here, so it is opposite to the oval window. Oval window means foot plate of stapes is there. So it will decompress that, and it will lead to hindrance in the movement of the stapes muscle. So it will lead to what? It will lead to your vertigo, your hearing loss, all those things. So that's why the surgery, decompression surgery is there by perforating this thing, saccule. Okay, this clear? Now semicircular ducts. Semicircular ducts I already told you. But an important thing is they have a crista ampullaris on the ampullated end. What is ampullated end? These bulbous enlargement. These are ampullated end. So they contain what? They contain crista ampullaris. Crista ampullaris, it is important for what? It is important for angular acceleration. When you're moving around, when your car is moving around, this it is detected by what? Crista ampullaris, angular acceleration. Important thing. Utricle cycle linear. This is angular. Endolymphatic duct, we already know endolymphatic duct, and basically here this is the endolymphatic duct from utricle and cycle. This is the endolymphatic duct, and then it drains into the endolymphatic sac. Okay, great. Now let's talk about the inner ear fluid and the circulation. Inner ear fluid and circulation is perilymph and endolymph. See, the perilymph that is present in the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani, basically your bony labyrinth. It is, what does it do? It contains sodium ions, mainly rich in sodium ions, and that's why it behaves like extracellular fluid more. Okay, and endolymph, it is rich in what? It is rich in potassium ion, and it is resembles intracellular fluid. Okay, and endolymph is secreted by what? See, you can see here it is stria vascularis. Okay, and one more cell from it is there is dark cell. Dark cells are present where? It is present in the utricle and near the ampullated end of semicircular canals. Basically, if you see this diagram from here, the dark cells are secreted. That is ampullated ends, from ampullated end, and also from the utricle. So this is also endolymph are secreted from these two areas. Okay, great. There are some theories of the flow of endolymph. One is your longitudinal theory, one is a radial theory. Longitudinal theory is basically what? From the cochlear duct is go to the saccule, then the utricle, then semicircular ducts, and back to the endolymphatic duct. That is longitudinal theory. Radial theory is basically this, from the stria vascularis back again to the stria vascularis. That is the thing. Okay, this is the longitudinal and radial theory. So if you see the composition, endolymph is rich in potassium, perilymph is rich in sodium, and CSF is rich in sodium. That is it. Now let's talk about blood supply. See the blood supply of it. If I show you the diagram, this is the blood supply. It is supplied by the basilar artery. Basilar artery get divided into labyrinth, anterior inferior cerebellar artery. Anterior inferior cerebellar artery get divided into labyrinthine artery. Then it gets further divided into cochlear part and vestibular system. Okay. So this is the thing they are talking about, this part. So labyrinthine artery comes from anterior inferior cerebellar artery. Anterior inferior cerebellar artery comes from basilar artery. So labyrinthine artery is divided into common cochlear artery and vestibulocochlear artery. Common cochlear artery is divided. Cochlear artery basically main cochlear artery supplies 80% and the branches of it supplies 20%. And this vestibulocochlear artery, anterior vestibular artery supplies what? The utricle, the lateral, and the superior canals, and posterior to the saccule and posterior canal. You can see in the diagram also. This anterior vestibular artery supplies the semicircular ducts, the utricle, and the posterior supplies the saccule and posterior canal. Okay. Then there is venous drainage. And so, okay, one more thing about blood supply is this part, important point. See, for example, if there is blood, there is no cross circulation between middle ear and your inner ear. So there is no, if there is ischemia, they won't get any blood supply from anywhere. So, and this blood supply is also segmental. If, say, for example, this cochlea get ischemic, so what will happen? It can either lead to hearing loss only. This will get blood supply, so it won't lead to vertigo and all. But if, say, this is ischemic, then hearing loss will be there, vertigo won't be there. So either of them will be present. For example, so that's why blood supply can occur to cochlear vestibular system, causing either cochlear or vestibular symptoms. That's it, of blood supply. Then venous drainage. Venous drainage, if you see this diagram, it is supplied by, first of all, internal auditory vein from internal auditory meters. Then from the cochlear system, by inferior cochlear vein drains into the inferior petrosal sinus. Then from vestibular system by vein of vestibular aqueduct. It drains into sigmoid sinus. Then later they all drain into internal jugular vein. Internal jugular vein then drains into brachiocephalic and cephalic vein, then basically goes into the right atrium. Yeah, that is the venous drainage. Now last part is the development of ear. See, development of ear for auricles, for external auditory canal, for tympanic membrane, middle ear cleft, auditory ossicles, membranous in ear. Okay, let's talk about it. First of all, auricle. See this diagram. Auricles, they are developed from the first branchial cleft, and it have 6 hillocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the first one forms what? Tragus, and the other ones remaining forms the remaining pinna. Okay, that is about auricle. Now the external auditory canal. It also developed from the first branchial cleft. Then what happens? The cells get proliferated and go down and form meatal plug. This meatal plug, what does it do? Later, it gets recanalization happens here. From deep to superficial. From deep to superficial it goes. So it can happen that deeper canal may be present while outer part may be atretic. Outer part may be still be bony. Takes time. And when does it get completed? About 28th week, the canal gets completed. Okay. Now let's talk about tympanic membrane. As we know, tympanic membrane has 3 layers. Outer epithelial layer, that is known as ectoderm. Middle fibrous layer, that is known as mesoderm. And inner mucosal layer, that is known as endoderm. So that is the thing. It is developed from these things. Middle ear cleft, if you see, it is has what? If you see this diagram, this is a middle ear cleft has tubotympanic recess, and they develop basically from the first arch partially and second arch partially. Okay, and it later forms what? Eustachian tube, tympanic cavity, atrium, so all these things. Now auditory ossicles. Malleus incus stapes. If you see this diagram, malleus incus stapes, malleus and incus is formed by first arch, stapes is formed by second arch. And also this stapes has the foot ligament, foot plate. It is formed by your otocyst, and annular ligament also formed by otocyst. This is otocyst, so this part is formed by otocyst. So it is written first arch, second arch, and foot plate and ligament annular going from otic capsule. Okay. Now last part is membranous inner ear. It starts with the ectoderm when get thickened, the handbrain get thickened, it forms what? Auditory placode. This auditory placode invaginates to form auditory vesicles known as otocyst. That is the otocyst. And this otocyst, what does it do? It differentiates into endolymphatic sac. This. It gets divided into pars superior and pars inferior. Pars superior forms first. Pars superior contains what? It contains semicircular canals and utricle. Okay. And later then the pars inferior contains what? It contains saccule and cochlear duct. Saccule and cochlear. The pars superior contains semicircular and sacculotrical. Pars inferior, saccule and okay. Now last part is the how does the timing of development happen? So basically middle ear starts from 3rd week, vestibule labyrinth 3rd week, cochlea 3rd week, and pinna 6th week. Cochlea, if you see, begins at 3rd week and completes at 20 week. So we can say the cochlea, that's why fetus can probably hear in the womb, because the cochlea gets completed around 20 week of development. So we can say the cochlea is sufficiently developed by 20 week of the decision. Fetus can probably hear in the womb. Okay. So by this we have completed inner ear also. So the anatomy of ear is completed. All these things is completed. Okay, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I have given an MCQ in the comment section. Go and answer it by yourself. And if you're right, I will give a heart. And if you have any doubts regarding this chapter, down in the comment section, you can type. I will reply to you. Thank you.